And good evening and welcome. Welcome. Friday night. It is Friday night. I certainly hope that you all have had a fantastic week. I have. Been a rather challenging week. I had to be involved with something this week that both my partner and I, my dear friend, had hoped that we would not have to get into. But at any rate, it was still a good week. And the reason why it was a good week is because I'm here with you. God has kept us together for another week. And we are going to talk for the next hour. I told you, I'm going to give you the facts or the fiction of what I consider just a real bunch of I'm not sure how I'm going to characterize this or how I should characterize it, but I'm not trying to be sensational, but I am rather frustrated with some of those who are supposed to be leaders in the Democratic Party, which is my party, which is the party that I am a part of. I know that there were times many years ago that I was so frustrated that I almost left my Democratic Party to become what some identify as an independent. But I decided not to do that after further studying and praying and thinking about how the gains that we have made and the progress that the country has made under Democratic leadership, that I would stay with the party and try to make our party better. Now, I know that people like to throw out all kinds of, uh, gestures and rumors, um, unfounded statements that they've heard repeated in the ethers out there without the benefit of any supportive, factual data or information. I don't subscribe to it. So when someone says something to me that I cannot verify, I discount it completely. But what I am seeing happening here with Democrats as it relates to the current president, who has done a remarkable job governing and getting this Congress, with some of the most extreme people who don't want to resolve problems, being able to get four major pieces of legislation passed is nothing short of remarkable. So this has not been a good presidency. It's not been a real good. It's been a great presidency of 3.5 years through this president. And for all of the talk of gaffes and making fun of someone mistaking or misstating some things or not recalling somebody's name, I don't know how many times that I get on this podcast. And throughout the day, I can think of names. And when I get on the podcast and I want to recall them, I can't remember all of their names. Doesn't make me any less cognitively strong or stable. I just don't remember and I can't recall that name at that time. certainly doesn't make it any less able to do my job. And I cannot imagine what that is, the challenge of being on the stage, of speaking to the entire country, and in many cases, the entire world as the President of the United States. So, with Joe Biden's speech impediment that he has, that he started as a kid, and has worked very hard to control it. And so, with all the criticisms and all the suggestions that some of the Dems now, some of the Democratic leaders that I see on these commentaries and on these news commentaries, who have been in their, what I'm calling their arrogance, calling for Joe Biden to step aside, so all of this ridiculous ageism. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. I'd rather have a person who is wiser because he's experienced more, because he's had a chance to review how he has participated in legislation and governing down through those many years of being in public service for 50 years. And now he has the opportunity, or got the opportunity, to, one, serve as vice president, and two, to serve as vice president for 8 years, watching a obstructionist Congress try to derail a black president, and the vice president was there watching it every step of the way. I believe that those 8 years as vice president, and then when he decided that he had to run for president, and of course all of those years that he had in Congress, all of that shaped him for the moment and prepared him for the moment, and he has met the moment. And for me, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but for me, I am on the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris team 1,000%. There is no other team. There is no other candidate. If Joe Biden cannot serve his full term out, that's why we have the vice president. That's why there's a president, and that's why they choose a vice president. They choose the person who will step into that role, who they trust that will step into that role and will continue their agenda for America. So, with all of this noise by people in the Democratic leadership, it is very disappointing that they are as short-sighted as they are. Now, this could be, and I'm just throwing out some thoughts. I'm not saying that this is what it is, but now I am not naive to believe that there are not people who are bigoted in the Democratic Party. I'm not naive to believe that that does not exist. I don't believe that all bigots are Republicans. Some bigots and some people who may be racist, I wouldn't be a bit surprised. In fact, I believe that they exist. Why am I saying that? If you look back through history, any time anytime that you have a leader, in the case of a Joe Biden as president, or a governor, or a mayor, that are working on the behalf of the poor and the working class, there will be people on both sides of the aisle that are those elitists and those corporatists that think that you're doing too much. And maybe they're, don't necessarily have to be racist, but they certainly can be bigots. They certainly can be prejudiced, meaning that they can be prejudiced towards a certain group or a certain class or caste of people. So I think that some of this noise coming from some of the Democratic leaders is couched in some of that. Now, it's not going to make me leave the Democratic Party. I am just saying that we're having a conversation, just like they're having a conversation, and they think that they're having a healthy conversation, which I don't agree with. They think that because they're able to have this kind of dialogue and what they call a debate about whether or not our leader, the person who is the president of the United States, who is a Democrat, that they seem to think that this is healthy. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But it's also revealing. Might be healthy, but it's also revealing about who they are and where they are, what their positions are. Because for me, my opinion, and I am no, expert political consultant, I happen to be a very engaged person who has a little podcast and participates in a little, try to do my part in participating in the social engagement and social, political, and socioeconomic conditions here in Chicago and Cook County and in the state of Illinois. But I don't certainly, try to posture myself as some political expert. I can only tell you what my beliefs are and what my observations are and what my commitment is. And my commitment is unwavering for Joe Biden. Unwavering. This is a man who I was not high on in terms of him running for president. But what this man has done has just been absolutely remarkable. And I'm going to be going through some of it in just a few minutes. But I think that the so-called Democratic leadership in some of these places, some of these elitists, some of these so-called elitists, spitting out this ridiculous opposition of a man who has done as remarkable of a job as this president has done, better than any other president going all the way back to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. As what he has gotten done, all of that experience, all of his years, all of that is the reason, in part, of why he has been able to be as successful as he has been. Age is not some sort of detractor. I don't want a president that can run around the block. I'm not interested in whether he can run around the block. I'm not interested in whether he can swing a golf club. I'm not interested in his golf score. I think golf is probably one of the stupidest so-called sports created anyway. Put a ball on a little tee, hit it as far as you can, and then walk all of that way to go hit it again. That's real sporty. That's real brilliant. That's just my opinion. Not knocking anybody else who does it. I know there are plenty of people who I'm a tennis player, an avid tennis player for more than 50 years. So, but the point is that it is, in my judgment, purely my judgment, that with the so-called Democratic leaders, they're revealing who they are. They're not weakening Joe Biden, because America, people know. The people know. People are not dumb. They know what the difference is. Because people like to, say, well, they're not feeling this and they're not feeling this. Gas prices are down. You don't hear anybody talking about it, right? Anybody talking about it. Because the truth of the matter is, presidents don't control gas prices. However, they can impact in some ways based on certain things that they do. Like this president, we are producing more oil than ever before. And APEC, even though that they were, are trying to manipulate the gas prices by cutting production, to do that because they're trying to influence an election. But this president has made decisions that can circumvent that. So only the person with real experience who understands how government actually works can make those kind of decisions, who understands the rules, who is a lawyer, who's been a legislator, who's been in government for more than 50 years. All of that, I will be proud to go in and cast the ballot for Joe Biden on November the 5th. In fact, I'm going to early vote as soon as I can for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I'm going to encourage all of those who trust me to do the same. No matter where you are in the city, the county, the state, or somewhere around the country who may pay attention to this podcast. Because the best for America is Joseph R. Biden and Kamala Harris, who've done remarkable things. Now, let me just go into some of the remarkable things that they've done. Investing in America. Now, I'm going to get to the United States Treasury Department report, and the report on how continuing to share how those policies have impacted Black Americans, and how those policies, when they really kick in, Black American students, those who have to take insulin medication is capped at $35 a month. Medication prescriptions for Medicare recipients capped at $2,000 a year. And they just announced today, the president announced today that they're going to be capping these hedge funds that are buying up all of these foreclosed homes and properties and driving rents up, that there's going to be a federal cap on rents that they can do because we're not producing enough housing. We have to continue to do that. So let's kind of go down state by state of what this president has done. I'm not going to keep you long tonight, but I just want really for you to get some facts over fiction. So I've done the work to go to find state by state. So I'm going to pull this up. We're going to do this state by state of what the Biden-Harris administration has done investing in America by state. I don't know if we'll get through all of the states, but I just want you to see. I want you to get. We're going to go down. I'm going to try. If I don't get through all of them, we're going to come back on another program. So please like and share. Follow me on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is fairly new. But I'd like to ask each of you, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the YouTube. There's no cost to it. I don't receive any monetary compensation for any of this. So that's not what the purpose is. The purpose is to get us engaged. It would be great to have a great number of us engaged locally as well as around the country, because I, for one, like to provide factual information so that people can go to it. So let's start with Alabama, a red state that this Democratic presidency of Biden, Harris are doing to impact the people in Alabama, in a red state. So President Biden investing in America in Alabama. Alabama, coming out of the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, the American Rescue Plan, CARES Act 2, and the Inflation Reduction Bill. What am I missing? Infrastructure. Okay. So $9.5 billion in private sector commitments, $7 billion in public investment in clean energy, $2.1 billion for reliable high-speed internet, $4 billion for transportation investment, $1.1 billion for seniors, 236,000 to start new businesses under the Biden administration, $452 million provided for clean water across Alabama to improve water infrastructure, $133.5 million dedicated to replacing lead pipes, 3.1% unemployment rate, 178.3 thousand new jobs. That's in Alabama. So I want to move forward. They've got other things here that I certainly want to do. 345 new projects in the $6.5 billion from the infrastructure bill. This is all in Alabama. All in Alabama. Okay. So that's Alabama. Let's go to Alaska. Alaska. All coming from this presidency. All of them. Let's see. Ooh. Oh, okay. All right. Somebody, I don't know who asked that question, but I want to make sure that if somebody. Okay. All right. All right. Alaska. All right. Like and share and bring some other people in so that they can also get this information, especially those people who think that Biden hasn't done anything for Black people, Biden hasn't done anything, and Trump has. Um, and they believe that Trump will, only because they haven't really done their homework. $8.2 billion, we're at Alaska, $8.2 billion in public investment in clean energy, infrastructure, and manufacturing. All right, $2.2 billion funding um, the to provide affordable, reliable, high speed. In Alaska, $3.8 billion for transportation, public transit, ports, electric vehicle charging stations, uh, and airports. 116,000 seniors and other Medicare beneficiaries will save money on their prescriptions because the cost is capped at $2,000 a year. 4.6 unemployment rate, 27.3 thousand new jobs created there. $887 million for clean water, and $85 million for replacing lead pipes. 27.9 thousand applications to start new businesses in Alaska. In the American Samoan, which is going to go down the list. Okay, $298.9 million in public investment, $46.3 million in infrastructure, $38 million in public transportation investment, roads, bridges, public transportation, rails, ports, airports, that sort of thing. $149.3 million provided for clean water, $56.9 million for lead pipes, to remove lead pipes. 5,000 seniors and others saw their Medicare beneficiaries saw their savings on their prescription drugs. Okay. Arizona, another red state that the president is inviting in or investing in. $115.7 billion in private sector, $15.8 billion in public investment. 131 billion dollars. Yeah, $131 billion the president is investing in Arizona. $2.1 billion in for internet, 4.7 billion for transportation, $1.5 billion for to help seniors, 386.6 thousand applications for new businesses, $1 billion in clean water, $115 billion to remove lead pipes, 3.6 unemployment, 362,000.9 new jobs created under this administration. Arkansas. What is Arkansas saying? Arkansas, $4.8 billion private sector, $5.6 billion in public sector, $1.7 billion internet, $3.3 billion for public transportation, 671,000 seniors saving money on prescription drugs, $3.4 billion 3.4% unemployment rate, 106,000 jobs, new jobs created under this administration, $316 million for clean water, $133 million for replacing lead pipes, 126,000 applicants to start new business. And we just get started. California, let's see how the president has fared in California. $21.3 billion in private sector, $45.7 billion in public works, $7.7 billion in affordable internet, $30 billion for public ports and transportation, airport, so forth. 6.8 million seniors, Medicare beneficiaries, are seeing their prescription costs go down 5.3%. Unemployment, 2 million new jobs created under the Biden administration. $3 billion announced to provide clean water across California. $307 million to remove lead pipes. 1.7 million new applications to start new business. Colorado, the president has invested $5.6 billion in private sector, $7.6 billion in public investment, $1.3 billion for high-speed internet, $3.7 billion for transportation, and so forth. 1 million seniors saw a reduction in their prescription costs. 3.7% unemployment, 310,000 new jobs created. 751 million announced to provide for clean water. 121 million to replace lead pipes. 405,000 new applicants to start new businesses in Colorado. Commonwealth of Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. 332 million, 84.7 million for 48.9 million, 3,000 seniors, 97.5 million. Okay. Connecticut, $770 million private sector, $6.7 billion in public sector, $429 million in funding for affordable and reliable internet, and $5.6 billion for transportation, 729,000 seniors, and others. All right, so 151,000 new applicants, 200 for businesses, $292.8 million, and 4.4% unemployment. All right, so we go over to DC. All right, so the District of Columbia, $5 billion in private sector commitments, $2.6 billion in public sector, $174 billion in internet, $1.8 billion for public transit, and 95,000 seniors get their Medicare beneficiaries for prescription drugs lowered. 5.2% unemployment, 48,000 new jobs, 241,000 for infrastructure, $85.7 billion replacing lead pipe. All right. So, please excuse my dog. Right? Yeah, he is hearing another dog who was outside barking. Let's go to Delaware. $105 million in private sector, $1.6 billion in public works. I'm going to kind of go through this because I want you to see here. We are in Florida, another red state. $1.4 billion in private sector, $17.6 billion in public works. Georgia. This is all money coming out of these bills appropriated, going to these states as a result of Joe Biden getting the Inflation Reduction Act, the Chips and Science Act, the American Rescue Plan, the CARES Act 2. And of course, um, with some of the other executive orders that the president has been able to get done. All right. Excuse me. Let's go to um, Guam. 502 million in uh, public investment. 206 million for internet, high-speed internet. $66 million um, for public works. 20,000 seniors, improving on savings on their Medicare. 108 million for um, clean water, and $20 million dedicated to cleaning toxic pipes. Let's see. Going to go through. Let's see. Hawaii. Hawaii. Excuse me. Oh, Hawaii. 237.8 million for private sector commitments, $2.5 billion for public investment, $417 million for internet, $1.6 billion for transportation, 303,000 seniors and other Medicare beneficiaries are saving money, 3.1 unemployment percent, and their certain unions, 80.7 thousand new jobs, 256 million cleaning out clean water, and of course 85.7 million dedicated to replacing toxic pox. 61.7 61.7 thousand applicants to start new businesses. Idaho. Let's see. We got Idaho. Okay. All right. Okay, I think that one. Okay. Illinois. Of course, we have that. $6.3 billion, $17.1 billion. And then you have the others, which takes it to about $43 billion. So we're going to go to so we're going to go to the internet. $27 billion for Indiana, $7.8 billion for public works. All right. All right. So that is Indiana. Iowa getting $3.9 billion, $4.7 billion in vacations, $3 million to if you have to in Iowa. All right, so Kansas. Pardon my yawning. Again, those of you who are just joining, I'm simply going down what this administration has done and how that administration is impacting our states and impacting our lives every day. Nothing short of remarkable. But again, I want you to be armed with the facts. $9.6 billion in private sector commitments, $3.5 billion in public investment, 752 in funding for childcare, childcare services, 752 for, I'm sorry, high-speed internet, $2.1 billion for transportation, and 581,000 seniors and other Medicare beneficiaries will save some money. $297.3 million and $90.5 million, 102.9 thousand applicants. Very good. All right. So that is, let's see. So that's going through the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. So that's going through the first 11 states to show and demonstrate how this president is actually impacting the lives across the United States of America. That is the poor, and that is the average working person. Now, there's a lot more that needs to be done. Heck of a lot more that needs to be done. But we have to institutionalize and organize ourselves to push that forward. I just think that getting the facts, and once you have the facts, they're the facts. They can't be refuted. They are the facts. And again, I don't get all this noise. Why people in the Democratic leadership are making these suggestions that he should step aside. And the fact that they do know how this process works and that it is the decision of the candidate. And in my judgment, there's no reason for Joe Biden or that he should step aside. He's still able to govern at a high level that many much younger people were not able to do. So, again, in fact, he certainly may have some abilities stronger than those people who are calling for him to step aside. I just think that there's something else motivating this other than the nonsensical, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to do the job for the next 4 years. How about this news alert? Who's to say that you are going to be around for the next 4 years? You know, young people are dying. Younger people than Joe Biden died and have died. That has happened. And it continues to happen because they drink themselves into, in some cases, oblivion. So who's to say that all of these so-called elites are going to be here? Who's guaranteeing that? And the one who guarantees what days that you have is not disclosing them to us. That's the one thing that he's not disclosing. He doesn't disclose that. So now let me switch gears a little bit. Those of you who are here in Chicago, or if you knew of somebody in Chicago and you may be watching from some other location. In Chicago, black women represent 16% of the population, but they represent 30% victims of all crimes reported. And so there's not much chatter about that. There's not much substantive conversation about that. And so a group of black men, we're calling a group of black men of 200 black men to show up at the Markham Courthouse on July 19th. Please get there about 9 to 9:15, as we will be starting the press conference at 10 o'clock sharp. And we want to have 200 black men to show our solidarity together and real strength in saying to our governmental officials on a local, state, and federal that we expect for there to be significant resources allocated with a plan to deal with the fact that black women are only 16% of the population, yet they are 30% victims of all crimes reported. So if we as men don't call attention to this, don't demand action, then aren't we just as complicit? Yeah, we definitely need to do a little introspective of what's going on. And we need to research, we need to read, and so that we can understand what the fiction is over the facts, or the facts over the fiction. That's one of the things that we have to look out for. The other thing is to tell our representatives that Joe Biden is the candidate. Joe Biden is the president of the United States, and Joe Biden has the delegates, and Joe Biden is going to be running. Get on board. Get on board. And stop with this stupid nonsense of eating our own. I mean, it's just unimaginable that you have a president doing as great as he's done. And of course, they have these, job approval ratings and all that sort of thing. I just don't see that. I don't see that as being quite accurate. Now, you remember that in 2022 and 2019, there was supposed to be this big wave of what do they call it? The big wave of red. That didn't happen. Joe Biden won in 20. And will do it again. They will do it again. So I want to just say to us in these last few minutes, please, let's get some information Don't go on the silly rhetoric. And as a matter of fact, you should call it out when you know that it's just silly rhetoric. People just want to sort of hear themselves sound off and to sound like they are profound. Like the story about the person down in Atlanta, the black barbershop owner. Now, there's all kinds of speculation about his business was already in trouble. But of course, he wanted to make a big deal about it. President, former President Trump, made a big deal about it. So, um, so that's that. Again, that's what they do. That's what they do. All right. So, I again am going to be in full mode support for this president, and I encourage you to do the same. Um, to listen to the information, get the facts, be informed, and be engaged. There's no room for despair, and there's certainly no room for sleeping on the job. All hands must be on deck. We must make sure that Donald Trump and the Republicans lose in record numbers. We need to put 60 seats in the Senate, and we need to take the majority in the House. That is how, and the one way that we are going to neutralize, that we will be neutralizing any of that unfounded, immaterial rhetoric. If you get the facts, you're going to be armed with information. And all you have to do is read the reports coming out of the United States Treasury Department. Let's see if I can, let's see where I left off about the president investing. Let's see, where did I leave off? Okay, so this is coming out of the, okay, this is where I left off. This is coming out of the United States Department of Treasury. And so what they've done is they've powered a historic, economic recovery that created 2.6 million jobs for Black workers and achieved both Black unemployment rate on record and the lowest gap between Black and white unemployment on record. Help Black working families build wealth. Black wealth is up by 60%. Let's see. Increase to access to housing and rooting out discrimination in the housing market for Black families. Increased access housing and not, and root out, I should say, and root out discrimination in the housing market, including for Black families and communities and Biden in the Biden-Harris administration. So much. Approved more than $136 billion in student loan debt cancellation for 3.7 million Americans through various actions, and launched a new student loan repayment plan. The savings on a valuable education son to help many students and families cut in half their lifetime payments per borrower. So those are just some of the facts. Some of the facts. We're going to continue providing that information, right? I didn't get to some of the clips. Let me see if I can get to just a couple of the clips from Joe Biden's speech tonight, which he was in Detroit and speaking to those out there in Detroit. Let's see what the president.
So much of my narrative, my campaign is falling apart, they say. I'm the nominee of the Democratic Party, the only Democrat or Republican who has beaten Donald Trump ever. And I'm going to beat him again. I know him. Donald Trump is a loser.
All right. Let's see. How about this one?
Folks, you probably noticed there's a lot of speculation lately. What's Joe Biden going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? Here's my answer. I am running, and we're going to win. I'm not going to change that. In fact, just today, the Marist poll released a national poll that has me beating Trump 50-48.
Now I'm going to tell you something. Even though they have these polls, and there's a poll, the poll says that, national poll says that he's beating Trump. I don't subscribe to it. I don't subscribe to it. It is because number one, polls don't vote. People vote in elections. Polls are only as good as the people who are conducting the poll, paid for by whomever it was who paid them to conduct the poll, and the swath of people that they talk to who may or may not be reflective of where we live. So I really don't give a whole lot of credence to it. All right, we got one more clip before we...
Well, good evening, Detroit. Good evening, Michigan. It is my distinct honor to present a transformative leader. I say transformative because when our nation urgently needed proven leadership, he not only met the moment, but he ushered in life-giving change.
Is Joe Biden. I'm going to give you all of that the next time that we are together. I may do something over the weekend, but of course I wanted to come on and provide some information, of course, some facts about what this administration is delivering, so that you can go out equipped with information that you can share with other people who are saying otherwise, because they haven't read, they haven't researched, they haven't studied to know what this administration is delivering for all 50 states, and certainly for the Black community. All right, that's going to do it for me tonight. I want you to have a great weekend, make it a safe weekend, and enjoy this great weather out. And of course, the chosen few is happening here in Chicago tomorrow. And I may even get a chance to go out there. I'm not sure. But if you are, go out there and be safe. Have a great time. All right. Thank you all for participating. Please like and share the podcast. Go on our YouTube channel. It is Mark Wallace, The People's Show. You have to look for or type in Mark Wallace, The People's Show, in order to like and share. So we certainly appreciate you tuning in to Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter. Thank you all very much. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you